Now it's time to get your aprons on and get ready to rival the Great British Bake Off with this evening's Bake Along with Chief Executive Anne James.
One of my favourite programmes is the Great British Bake Off, only to be topped, I think, by British Sewing Bee. So I thought I'd cook you a little cake today. It's one of my favourites. The family really love it, and it's really straightforward and very easy to do. It's probably a bit between a cake and a pudding. Anyway, it's yummy. So what we do to start off with is just get 130 grams of butter, pop that in the pot. It should be room temperature. I'm afraid I cheat sometimes, and if I've forgotten to take the butter out of the fridge, I just whack it in the microwave. Then add 150 grams of caster sugar. So idea now is that should really get mixed up, just so it's really nice and fluffy. Funny, isn't it, how we like some things that we really look forward to? So every week I look forward to the Great British Bake Off. I really hope when this pandemic is over that they have a series dedicated just to NHS workers and care workers. A lot of our staff are fantastic bakers. I'm more rustic, I think, than I am Nigella Lawson, but never mind, it's good fun to do. So this is the hard bit. You can use a mixer, but I actually just quite like to mix it all up myself. So as you can see, it gets really fluffy quite quickly. So once you've got that, the next thing to do is to add 3 large eggs. I might just get a knife for that, I think. So I tend to add them in just one at a time and give it a really nice mix. I was worried that it looks like it's separating, but actually, if you just mix it up, it comes together really nicely. There we go. Feel really fortunate where I live, because just on the corner, we live out in the countryside, then one of our neighbours who runs a sort of small holding sells their own eggs, so it's quite nice. Just go to the end of the lane, buy some eggs, pop them in. There we go. And the final one. There we go. So there's the 3 eggs. You can see that all really nicely whipped together. And then the next thing I do is just give a really nice big pinch of salt. Just use a bit of vanilla essence, and I add 2 teaspoons of that. It's a fairly straightforward cake, actually. It's the topping I really love. There we go. That smells so nice. There we go. Just give that a little mix. I have to say, I don't normally have all my ingredients out like this. I think, like everybody, I'm sort of running around trying to see if I've got what I need in the cupboard. It doesn't feel nice when you do it like this. And then the next thing to add is 500 grams of self-raising flour. But this cake's a little bit unusual because what you need to do is just add a little bit of the flour, not quite half, mix that in. When I'm out and about in the hospital, can't do that quite so much at the moment. I'm always really amazed how talented our colleagues are across the Trust. A lot of them bake. In fact, I think there's someone from Labs who actually did apply to do Great British Bake Off. Others sew and do haberdashery, lots of volunteers working in our local communities. Pretty amazing place, I think, to be part of. So as you can see, that gets to be quite stiff quite quickly. But the next thing, which is why I think it's a bit different as a cake, is to add, let me see, 200 millilitres of sour cream. But again, what you need to do is just alternate between the flour and the sour cream. So, and I love sour cream, so I'm going to do 2 big dollops like that. And it somehow makes the cake look really light and fluffy. It's gorgeous. There we go. So mix that in. Don't mix too hard. Oh, look at that, yummy. Then I'll just add the rest of the flour in. Mix it again. I think, like everyone, I really miss being out and about. It's been quite hard, hasn't it, with the pandemic? Lots going on. But how lovely to have a big night in, celebrating and admiring what everyone's doing across the Trust. It's a real Derriford spirit. Really lovely to be part of it. There we go. Almost there. Another big, little bit more, I think. Dollop sour cream. Just put that to one side and then mix. There we go. So we're almost there. So whenever I bake a cake, I always try to bake 2. Bake one for the family, because we've got quite a big family when we're all home, but I always try to bake a smaller one. I've got a mother-in-law who's, well, 93 now, so I think she's been finding the pandemic, really hard. So it's quite nice to bake her a little cake as well. So let's just put that away. So once you've got all of your mixture like that, I just pop it into a tin, but you don't need to fill it right the way up to the top. So just get a small tin, like a brownie tin, but probably maybe just halfway. So let me just pop that in. Oh, looks really nice. There we go. And just let it settle down. I have to say, this cake rarely makes it out of the tin, to be honest. Once we start to eat it, we go straight in. Just take it out of the tin. Delicious. Just make it nice and smooth. It doesn't have to be too perfect. I'm definitely more of a slapdash cook than refined dining. Okay, so let's just get the last bits out. There we go. So then if we just really smooth that out, that's nice, it'll just settle. And then you just leave that to stand for a little while. So the topping is the thing that I really, really love about this cake. So what I've done already is chopped a load of cooking apples. And again, you can chop them really neatly and do a very elegant pattern on the top. I tend to just really rough cut them. So for this topping, I'm going to put a bit of a slug of brandy. It is almost Christmas. And then probably just quite a nice big amount of light brown or demerara sugar. And again, if you just mix it up and let it soak. Oh, it smells so lovely. It smells like Christmas already, really. And this is really, although there probably is a recipe for the right proportions to use, I just like to do it by eye, really. Mix it all up. So the next thing to do is to add some mixed spice or sweet cinnamon, really lovely. And again, it depends very much on your own taste, what you like. So just I put quite a lot in really, because it sort of cooks through the apple, it flavours the brandy, and really just gives such a nice topping to the top of the cake. You have to really mix it, make sure all the apples are covered. Ideal for a nice day, especially the winter days when it's a bit cold, a bit dark, something to look forward to. So, what I do then, as you can see, it's quite roughly done. Just take spoonfuls of it, preferably with all the juice and the lovely flavours, and just pop it on top of the cake. So what we're going to do with the cake is pop it in the oven, middle shelf. It's already been preheated at around 180 or gas mark 6, and leave it for an hour. And the smells will just be delicious. It's one of those cakes that really does cook almost to time, so you don't have to check it lots and lots. Just pop it in, let it do its magic. Look forward to eating it. So as I said, it's somewhere between a sort of cake and a pudding. So I do always put lots of apple on top. And by the hour, the apple's really gone nice and soft, but not so soft it's squidgy. Still some texture to it. So that should just about do it. So there we are. So put this little lovely in the oven for for an hour. And then what I do is, after the hour, I turn the oven off, but open the door a little bit and leave the cake inside. Then I go for a nice dog walk, knowing when I come back, I'll have a lovely hot cake, well, warm cake to eat. So I probably haven't left this one in the oven as long as I would normally, just to cool it down. You might be able to hear my Scotties in the background there after a carrot, which is not very helpful, is it? So normally I let it just go until it's really, really warm. This one's still a little bit hot, so hopefully, going to be a bit tricky, I think, to get out. Just need to, there we go. Thought I might needed to have left it a little bit. As you can see, just yummy. It's not actually burnt on top, that's all the mixed spice. So when it's really cool, you can just then take it off the paper and just let it cool, and then you can either add some custard to it or some cream. And there's nothing nicer than having a nice piece of cake after a dog walk. So, as I said, it very rarely stays in the tin. It comes out of the tin, actually. Everybody just jumps in. So, hopefully, you can see that. Absolutely beautiful. So tasty. So just put a bit of that on a plate. Little bit of cream, Jobs are good.